Hey class, so welcome to the week 6 video. Now I was really pleased with our discussions we had on Monday about doing research, and I hope that what we did in class helped you guys really start to think about the topics that you might want to pursue in the next projects. For the most part, it seemed like a lot of you at least had an idea of something you might want to investigate, or at least kind of like a general sense of the topics that you're interested in regarding your communities. And so what I want to do today is I just want to kind of recap quickly what we talked about on Monday, and then just kind of throw some reminders your way for the different things we have going on right now. So if you remember, we talked about figuring out where you want to take your research for the rest of the semester. Now, I know that seems like kind of a daunting task, but really, you've already started to do this. You've identified major topics in your field. You've talked about what you're interested in. And so now I want you guys to think about where those two things might intersect. Like, where do your interests intersect with some major topics? Or if you're looking at the major topics in your field, what about them interests you? And it all starts out with this idea of being curious about something. We wanted to ask questions about something. And so if you remember, for our blog that we have for this week, this research questions and plan, for the most part, you've already done that. You've developed those in class on Monday, and you can just kind of translate those onto Blackboard now. But if you're still having trouble figuring out what it is you want to do, then work through the same steps that we did in class, right? So begin with some general searches in the databases about your field, or begin with some sort of contextual knowledge about your field, either through, we used Wikipedia, then we used some of the databases and the library resources and things like that, just to get a sense of what the field is doing. So really draw on the things that you've done in Project 1 and Project 2 for that kind of baseline knowledge. Now, once you have the context in mind, what I want you to do is I want you to think about, what it is that you're curious about, as I said, and this is where you're going to start to develop your research questions. Now, if we look at the research question guide that I've posted under this week's folder, you'll see that I've given you a resource to figure out how it is that you would want to go about constructing a research question. Now, we'll be focusing on research questions quite a bit in class on Monday, but this is just a good opportunity to start to put one together here for your blog. And so we can think about what a research question is. And essentially, it's just a question that guides your research, obviously, but it has to have a few components. It has to be focused. It has to be, something that cannot be answered easily or with a yes or no answer. In other words, it's supposed to be kind of a broad, open-ended question about a topic that you're interested in. And so go ahead and look through this guide and try to structure your questions in this way. Now remember, I do want you to bring your research questions that you were working on in class and that you'll post on the blog. I want you to bring those into class on Monday, because we're going to actually be workshopping some of those to make sure that they are ready to go for our research project. So take a look here. What's really useful are these examples when we talk about possible questions and revised questions, how to make them more effective. And this set of kind of checklist questions is kind of what's going to help you really think about how to make a really good, strong research question. So again, more on that on Monday, but take a look at that for now. Okay, so once you have your research question in mind, we can start to begin the research process. Now, I know you guys are in the middle of finishing up Project 2 and thinking about how to turn that rough draft into your final draft. But remember, I also want you guys to be looking for at least one, what we're going to call launch text, right? So in other words, what is the one article or book that you found or will find this week that gets you started on your investigation of this topic? So for example, when you are looking in the databases trying to get a sense of the field and you stumble upon a topic that looks interesting, or maybe you've already got your research question and you've started to plug that question into the library resources, start to see what you find, right? And the first text that you read and that you rely on, and the first text that you pull out, is going to be our launch text. It's the first thing that we've find. It's the first thing that we'll use. It's the one that gets us started with this whole next research project. And so try to find that one anchor text, or the one text that really allows you to start to think about this topic seriously, and make sure you have that ready to go. Okay, so I won't take up much more of your time for this video. Just remember, your Project 2 is due on Sunday. I'm in the process of rough drafts to you with my comments, so you should have all of those back by tomorrow night at the latest. And if you do have any questions or concerns, let me know and we will get them addressed. All right, thanks guys. Bye.